I didn't.
Okay.
I always change.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. I haven't been out here in so long. Rivergate, I haven't been out here. So I'm going to call the meeting officially to order. And pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that the decisions of the Nashville Public Library may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. And we have reserved time at the beginning of the library board meeting for which there is an actionable item on the agenda for public comment pursuant to TCA 8-4412 for any items germane to items on the agenda. 5 people will be allowed up to 3 minutes each to speak. Speakers must register within 1/2 hour prior to the beginning of the meeting by signing their name on a physical sign-up sheet available at the entrance and identifying any agenda item on which they intend to comment. Do we have anyone doing public comment today? No. Okay. Well, thank you. We haven't been together, and it seems like forever. I know we skipped a month, but it seems longer to me. Why, I don't know. And in the meanwhile, I just want to say Terry's father has passed, and we just want to tell you, you've been in our thoughts. We know you've been dealing with that for a long time, but we're here for you. We're your library family. We're here. So anything that you need.
Thank you. I can feel you all there with me.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. I also want to request your permission to leave early. I have to be back for a meeting at 1 o'clock, and so Katie is going to.
I changed my mind. I don't want to let you leave early. Permission rescinded.
You got a job for me. But I want to thank Katie for doing that. And with your permission, can we alter the agenda to do approval of minutes? After that, we need to vote on the special collections gift form and then vote on the naming policy. If you don't mind, can we do that?
And then the board meeting.
Okay.
dates.
Keith, you good with that?
I'm good with
Okay, Terry, okay.
Then
I'm sorry. And then the board
meetings,
dates
Yeah.
for 2025, and then we'll go back. Sean, I'll get the update from you later. Okay, so let's go. On your agenda, it says approval of minutes June 18th, 2024. That's actually a typo. We're approving the July 16th minutes. So I will entertain a motion to approve the July 16th, 2024 minutes.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Any discussion, corrections? Nothing.
Second.
So there's a second. I'm sorry. There's a second. I was out of order. There was a second. There's no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passed to approve July 16th minutes. So let's go to the special collections gift form.
She's coming. That will be on page 77 of your packet. Okay, Chief.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So this is a refresher to the book donation document that we discussed during the last library board meeting at Maine. And it was asked upon me to include the library board for certain situations when we would get a book donation or a collection donated to us that may want to be reviewed by the library board of trustees. So I included that on this revised version of the book donation document. So the way that I approach it is this. Usually we wouldn't need that type of provisioning, but in such cases would we get a certain sensitive collection certain collection that may not reflect well upon the collection development policy by NPL, then we would bring that before you, the Library Board of Trustees, for review and consideration. So this is the revised version. Should that ever happen, then I could bring that to you for your consideration, and we would take that consideration into motion to see if we will welcome a collection to the Special Collection Division. So the revised version is at the bottom, the second paragraph. In such situations of proposed sensitive collections, opinions will be considered of the Nashville Public Library Board of Trustees. However, the final evaluation and determination will be enacted upon by members of the Special Collections Division. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Well, but what you're saying here is if you brought it to us and we said we don't think we should accept this collection, you will still, if you so choose, accept the collection?
Well, that would have to be considered by our acquisitions team. To see if it matches. Yeah, to see if it matches our acquisitions team. But the Board of Trustees will be taken into consideration. Yeah. So, but we will make that final determination in-house. Yes.
So is this policy about decision rights?
This is not a policy. This is more of a practice.
Okay,
So more of a practice, not a policy.
thank you.
So when we talked about it before, I wasn't thinking necessarily of collections that would be negative or not wanted by the library, but that we might miss an opportunity to really take advantage of a cool collection that was donated. So, I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times, and I don't want to carry on about it, but sensitive collections is not the spirit of what I was trying to get at. So, and I don't know how you define that, a proposed sensitive collection.
Depends upon the content that's donated. Usually such sensitive collections could be deemed something that is political. Usually it's around that type of a vein of collection. Like I said, it rarely happens, but if it could, then it would be brought before the board. But that would be deemed a sensitive collection based upon the content of the collection.
So where would the Votes for Women room,
Yeah.
where would that fit in all of this?
In such manner like what?
Well, just inside this proposal, if the room is there and there is a collection that's to be given,
Like Judge, what's the
yeah, Judge Daughtry's collection, would
yeah.
that be considered political and therefore maybe not acceptable?
Not so much. Easy answer, not so much. No.
If Nancy Pelosi had a collection that she wanted to donate, I mean,
So on that level, then most likely yes, yeah. But like a Judge Martha Daughtry, no. But like a Nancy Pelosi or someone on the upper echelon of political figure, then that would have to be taken into consideration by the library board. Yes, absolutely.
But we're the place where we have all information, so none
Right.
of those things would be sensitive or inappropriate. I mean, they're, and I don't know why we start with political, because they can be collections around gender. They can be collections around all kinds of human issues. And I don't know what would make us not want those collections if they added to the richness of what we have. So again, what I was talking about was missing it. Something like Judge Daughtry's, you want to be sure we highlight that and laud that and make that known to the community.
and our library that has not just library cards, but T-shirts that say I read banned books, it seems contradictory that we would want to adopt a policy that says we can ban certain collections.
I'm not reading it that way. I'm reading it that this is a consideration as to how we will practice receipt of donated books. It doesn't mean that the board could deem it inappropriate or appropriate, simply that we would have a courtesy of understanding that it is deemed sensitive and worthy that we would know about it, and then the acquisition team would then make a decision. So this seems to me which you noted is a practice, not a policy. It's just making known how we will proceed forward.
Absolutely.
And Chi, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of this has to do with the actual physical space and capacity that we have. So it's may not necessarily be, I mean, since I've been here, and it hasn't necessarily been sensitive, it's also been about the fact that somebody calls us and says that they have this entire room and they're collectibles, they're not just books, they're materials and things like that. And that's, I know that we've talked about that in the past.
So it's not that it's sensitive then. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I mean, I think
what
everybody
word
on the
you
board
wanna use. Yeah.
agrees with that.
It's
that
the wording
You all
that
need to
I'm-
determine how much space you have and what kind of books are of value to the library. But if we start by saying that those that are considered sensitive have to come to us, but you have the decision not to accept what we consider to be positive for the library.
I'm trying to reword this so that it's not necessarily sensitive, you're saying. You may not have the room for it. So basically, you're going to consider the opinions of the Nashville Public Library Board of Trustees before accepting collections.
Correct.
That's what, it's not necessarily sensitive. So I think it's just to reword that sentence.
Okay.
You think?
So what's different from what y'all do right now? What does this add or change?
Really, it doesn't change much. Like I said, in certain situations, if it is something to do with something that's heavily gender focused or politically focused, we think it would be wise to take the Library Board of Trustees into consideration because it is part of the collection, and that collection reflects the Nashville Public Library. But that's the best word that I can come up with that can kind of encompass any and all things, and should a second opinion be needed, then this is where the Library Board would come into play. So that word sensitive may throw things off a little bit, more or less, but I think that word would be most appropriate because it encompasses any and all things that we may get that may be deemed sensitive, depending upon what it is. But it is all contingent upon the content of the collection thereof.
Controversial is a word that comes to mind.
But may I interrupt them?
Sure.
But I almost think it's of what's of value. I mean, I use the Votes for Women room as my example,
Okay.
but certainly there are people who would say any collection that we might get in the Civil Rights room, as well as any collection we might get in the Votes for Women room, could very well be sensitive. I mean, depending on where, and if you're saying political, depending on where you are on the political spectrum, you're definitely going to,
Right.
you know, on both sides. There's going to be problems on both sides. We shouldn't have this, we shouldn't have that. And I think that's the antithesis of what we all believe is a library and what the librarians believe. It's almost like if it brings value to our library for this collection, and I don't mean as in money, you know what I mean? I mean as in that this expands, that might be
It adds to
a better
the
way
collection.
to you know, bringing that to us.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to resolve the problem by using more neutral language.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, before a donation, wait a minute. Opinions will be considered by the Nashville Public Library Board of Trustees before a donation is accepted. Period.
Or,
So,
or in matters that require additional consideration or special consideration. Because the reason I said matters, because I'm hearing not only sensitivities, I'm hearing space. It's a broad
Yes.
consideration that we're talking about. So in matters that require additional consideration, discernment, whatever you want to call it, you're going to bring it, you're going to share it with us.
because over time, circumstances change, and it might be a different consideration.
Correct.
Yeah. They require additional consideration.
I like the phrase add value, though.
Value
If
is
there's-
subjective.
Yeah, but
Subjective.
if there's something that you all identify as, use the word controversial, there's weighing that against the space considerations, of course, but if it adds value, then you would want to add it. And maybe we could support you in adding that, or so I think the goal is the same. I just don't know that this language kind of captures it quite yet.
Okay.
But basically, you're saying, however the language is, it's going to be within your discretion whether you bring it to the board or not. Because it's within your discretion whether it's sensitive or it adds value or whatever these terms are that we use. Maybe we just need to say that. That the decision is yours, but you always have the discretion to seek the opinions of the board, something to that effect. I'm also thinking you may turn something down because you feel like you have room for it, you don't have the funds to take care of it, whatever, not some sort of polemic sort of reason, and the board says, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's something we need to get, and we'll figure out how to make it work." So it's not only accepting things that you might think are controversial. It's also turning down things that maybe the board would want. I just think, I don't know, it just seems like making it at your discretion because that's the way it's going to be anyway.
Well, I would consider adding something, sorry, about what I'm about to say, and that is members of the Special Collections Division and the director.
Well, yeah.
Because, anyway, I was looking really quickly at the naming, which we're going to discuss next, which is also very important, but the director is the decider here. And it feels like in anything that is so important, the director needs to be the decider.
They will be on the line.
And so whether we say Special Collections Division and director, or whether we say the director in conjunction with, or in, whatever with the Special Collections Division, I feel like the director needs to be the decider.
That is a great call.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, Terry.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I think,
Do you all
one,
want to look at wording here, or you want to bring this back?
Bring it back.
Bring back
Yeah,
on this one sentence?
I think editing that sentence.
But I keep working with it, which is good, but.
I just want to echo what Katie was stating in regards to, the special, the group that would make the decision here currently. I just want to acknowledge expert knowledge. We do value that. And so that's what that team carries. However, the director also understands the Board of Trust. And so what the public concerns and have more oversight to include that. And I just want to make sure that we're also considering that as we consider to look at other documents too, that it's not just in isolation while we're just looking at this one too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We will.
Okay, so we'll refer it back, and I think we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there, just that one sentence. I've taken notes, Terry's taken notes.
She's been listening.
We put in the, just to get to the synopsis of what you all are saying, the summary, to say, you want to add that Special Collections Division and the library director would bring a prospective donation to the Board of Trustees on any prospective donation to add value to the library or any matter that requires additional consideration. That's what I'm
We
saying.
might be able to get that tighter.
That's what I, yeah, title, but that's what we're writing
Rosalind's point
down.
about the matters, I
Yeah,
think is.
yeah.
Is there
validated.
is there another place to put this?
You just turned
This is a
yourself
donor
off.
form. Oh, I just turned it off. Okay. On there. This is a donor form. I'm not sure it even belongs on here. It belongs in some sort of policy place of the special collections policy, not on the donor form. I mean, can we find another place to put it so that it doesn't, it's not something that
You do.
The donor care,
Yeah.
well, or needs to know about, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's a good point.
Make it a
There's got to be
policy.
another place in our,
The prospective donor gets the form. We've made the policy.
all these rules we have that where it could go.
Good input. Thank you so much. So we'll refer it back.
I know.
tonight.
I'm sorry.
No, but no, this is how you get, what, this is you get it right. Yeah. It's important work. Thank you.
I feel sorry for you to have to come back.
It's part of our work.
So I'll need to see you again.
Yeah. Love seeing you every
We look
time.
forward to it.
It's not every time. We love seeing you. We have a date again next month. That's what.
Oh, okay. I look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your hard work on this.
See you next month.
Okay, so
Thanks,
next up
Genevieve.
is the naming policy, page 78.
That'll be Jenna.
Jenna?
Hello.
Hello.
When Donaldson opened a couple months ago, the manager at Donaldson, Ryan Darrow, very rightly recognized that this was an opportunity to raise funds for the branch. And it's something that we have never done before in the branches, really, as we were opening new buildings, is look at the opportunity to have naming and signage, recognition signage in those branches. It's something we've done at Maine when Maine opened 20-some years ago, but not at the branches. So we realized we didn't really have a plan or a policy in place for these naming opportunities. And so we looked at what other locations and things we're doing, and we drafted a policy that identifies who would be involved in making those decisions, and what we would consider for naming and signing recognition, and then also wrote in the opportunity to remove or change that signage, which we have not had in place at Maine, in the case that maybe an organization no longer aligns with our mission or something like that, that if we should want to change that signage, we could. So that is what's spelled out in this policy. I know you were sent this a week or two ago to review. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Well, I'll start it off for a change. I think this is incredibly well thought through, and you've done an excellent job. And I know, I mean, I just heard,
many
I wouldn't
people.
say, I know it's many people. And I wouldn't say that I know, I should say I think I've heard in terms of, you know, should we give it a expiration date? Should we say, well, we're only going to do it for 10 years, we're only going to do this, we're only going to do that? I feel like you've done a great job of watching what's happened in the United States over the course of the last decade or so, and creating a lot of space for us to evaluate and reevaluate in a way that doesn't cause furor, because you think about it at the front end. I think it's quite well done. I don't have any concerns or questions.
I only see one little typo, and that is
did we
in
miss one?
the now therefore section, line 2. The Library Board of Trustees hereby,
Herbie.
Yeah.
Herbie and us.
That's the only thing. Before, so it's just a spelling error.
And just to add to, Jenna has been leading this with us, but the administrative team went over this probably at least 4 times. Then she took it to the policy group and within the library, and then Sean multiple times, because this also affects donations to the foundation. So I think that's why it took us a bit to bring it forward, because we did spend a lot of time getting it to this place. So thank you, Jenna.
Yeah, coordination with the foundation is going to be the most important thing to me. And I think the danger is that you've got a well-meaning branch manager at Donaldson who's trying to do the right thing and raise money for Donaldson and all of that, which is all commendable. But all of that needs to be centralized back with Sean and the foundation staff. Otherwise, it just gets to be, I mean, there is danger there. It just becomes chaotic. So
Yeah.
I think, I mean, to me, naming rights come with monetary contributions.
And we do have, along with this, we have developed internal procedures that really goes into more detail of those steps. So we have that, once this policy is approved, those procedures that all of admin worked on as well will come into play as well.
Okay.
And Sean and I worked on with Jenna, there's actually in the MOA that we just updated, just like we added marketing specifics last year, this will be those procedures for naming or donations as well.
Yeah. Keith, you're exactly right, that this all sounds good, but when it comes to actually what does it look like, and that's where Ryan Darrow was so helpful, because he kind of went through it first, and then we realized, ooh, that won't work, but this would work. And so I think also other branch managers have seen how successful Ryan was, and that prompting more questions or conversations of, can we do fundraisers? And it had been so long since we opened a new branch. But as you know, there are several big renovations or new branches on the horizon. And so it's nice that we can now use the Donaldson experience to make sure that we get ahead of it for any of the other things that are coming.
Here's the other thing to consider. Right now, I think there is an interlocking cooperation between Sean and Terry, your staff, Terry's staff, the board. Everybody's on the same page. There have been times when we weren't on all the same page. Not bad, but that happens. And it could happen again in the future. So I just think it's got to be clear that the foundation is the voice, really, not the voice, but a major voice in determining naming rights, because that's where the rubber meets the road.
And as the procedure lines out, it will be the foundation who is going to be first often recognizing that this is potential, and then it says that their duty is to then bring it to Terry and admin to go with it. So yes, it outlines that relationship, and then we will bring it to the board, for final approval. So it does try to outline that everybody needs to be working together, like you said.
And may I ask one more question? But
Yes.
this is maybe tangential, really, to what we're talking about. But when I was at Southeast last week, when you walk in, there's the huge plaque that says the mayor. And are we still doing that in all the library board members? Do we still put those on every single one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it's the only one where it like jumped out at me, and I noticed it.
At Donaldson, we had to do it a second time because we left off former Mayor Barry. So
Where is it at Donaldson? I mean, I've been in there 5 times now and I haven't seen it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm getting this on a tangent. Thanks. Okay. Now, as chair, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Anytime y'all want to name a building after Jarvis, no complaints.
We'll do our due diligence to make sure that happens.
Jarvis, write a check and you'll get it.
Y'all take the art free, pay the fee. Yes.
Any other discussion? Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted. Thank you.
So Katie, on page 84, the next thing to vote for is the board meeting dates for 2025, and then we can go back to the regular.
Then we want to go back, okay.
Yes.
That sounds great. Does everybody see on page 84 the dates and the places?
Looks good.
Do I have a motion?
Nice to add Edmondson on there, but okay.
Well, let's have a motion and a second, then we
Yeah.
can have any discussion on what we want. Motion,
My
second?
apologies.
Second.
All right, now, you're recognized, Jarvis.
It'd be nice to add Edmondson Library on there, just personal observation.
So what we've done in the past is, because we rotate between Maine and the branches, is we rotate, because there's 20 locations, we rotate the branches so that every library you all can see each branch. But if you'd like us to put.
Or Donaldson, the new one. Mm-hmm. You know, so. But it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
Well, they'll be in rotation, is that what you're saying?
Yes, they're in
So they will
rotation, so you will
definitely,
get-
we will definitely be meeting there.
I withdraw my comment.
You didn't have to do that.
Eventually, right? Over 4 years.
Any other concerns, questions? All those in favor of the schedule for next year?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's our schedule. Now, let's move back. I don't think Joyce had any comments.
No, she said.
So I'm going to turn it over to you, Terry.
Okay, thank you. First, I just want to say how much I appreciate the beautiful wreath that you all sent up, and your thoughts and sending positive vibes. It was a long time coming with my dad, and so really grateful that we had that time with him. But now we'll move on to the library business. So the first thing I'm really excited to share with you, it was not in the board email that I sent on Saturday. We met yesterday as an admin team with Commander Bird of MNPD. He talked to us about CRASH. It's a citizen response active shooter event. So it's really a citizen's response to an active shooter event. And so with Maine closed, we are going to try to train all library staff the first week of October. And this will be an hour to an hour and a half with Commander Bird and his staff, who has an expertise in this area. And we feel like as the incidents continue to rise, and also the severity of those incidents, we feel like this is a really good time with Maine closed that we will be able to get all staff. And we also have the elections coming up. So we want to make sure we have most of our regional branches, Goodlettsville, Maine, that are either early voting sites or that are same-day sites. So we want to make sure that our staff is as prepared as can be for any potential active shooters. So the other thing that's really exciting about this is that it's something that builds on. So what we do is we start with this first training with Commander Bird and his staff. Then there is a second one where they would actually come out to a location, and they would build active shooter plans for a specific location. And again, Mark Crowder has done an incredible job with preparing us for active shooter. The reason we had such a great response at Bordeaux was because staff knew what to do, and Chief Drake said that they did everything that they could do. But this is just one more tool to hopefully be able to plan even more. We're doing really good things in terms of adding, and Susan, you can correct me if I misspeak, but we're adding more safety and security to each of the locations, like special, I don't know what it's called, to desk and special glass, all of that. So Mark has walked through every single location with MNPD for them to give us suggestions on how we can make our building safe for staff and customers. And then once they get a specific plan in place, then they would also be testing the plan for performance. So we definitely want to get 1 and 2 done first. And so we were really, he was with us for an hour, and it was really beneficial. And so we're right, and he already sent me back dates last night, so it's going to move hopefully the first week of October. And then that will tie into, we're really excited, I put it in my board email, that we are going to have a security and safety summit for all library staff on April the 24th. It will be at the main library, and I'm excited that Ryan Dowd, who is a nationally known speaker and expert on both de-escalation and serving people experiencing homelessness, he actually usually charges $7,500 a day, and now he has moved to Hendersonville, so he said that he will do this for us for free. So I know, so he's going to do a morning keynote, and then he's going to do an afternoon keynote, and then we're working on some breakout sessions, whether, depending on the topic. So we haven't finalized that part, but we definitely finalized Ryan coming and staff. Ever since I got to Nashville, I've heard from staff over and over again about Ryan Dowd and how we've had virtual training with him, but we just have not had any in person. So I'm, excited about those 2 things. Joyce had asked me to give you all an update on the main closure. We are making good progress, and our goal is to reopen October the 26th. But if it can be done sooner, we'll definitely make that happen. But right now it's October the 26th, and Susan is getting weekly updates on Friday from Lee Company. Did you want to add anything to that, Susan? Okay. So tomorrow, Susan and I will be presenting our capital spending plan for next year to the mayor's office. That's at 11 o'clock, and we've been working on it for the past 3 weeks. So we will go back and we will ask, we were really fortunate last year to get the $15.5 million that included the design development for Hadley Park, Richland Park, renovation money for Hermitage and Green Hills, and then we also got a significant over $5 million for maintenance money. So tomorrow when we go in, what we're going to ask for is to be able to continue once we do the design development at Hadley Park and Richland Park. We want to move forward and do the construction phase. So that's the number one thing that we're asking for. And then we have moved up Smith Springs above Edge Hill and Thompson Lane because we do not have a library there, and that population has grown 41%. And so we did, I see Corey shaking his head, Jarvis is shaking his head. So we felt like we do have a library at Edge Hill. Edge Hill's also part of a project with the planning department. So we'll still ask for Edge Hill and property for Thompson Lane, but we decided that is the one change I wanted to make sure you are aware of. We also will we will briefly talk about the collaboration with Councilmember Benedict at Inglewood for the possibility of the mixed use on that property. And then also Susan's been attending meetings for a property at Brick Church Road where the library would be incorporated as well into a mixed use. And then that's one of the things I wanted to also emphasize once again is our collection budget. So I gave the statistics that I talked about during my council presentation. I've been in contact with Kristen at the mayor's office because we have got to get more collection money. A library our size cannot operate on $2 million a year when Seattle, which serves a similar population, gets $10 million. So that'll be one of the things I really want to, again, bring home. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. And then I know with Nadine here, I just wanted to thank her. We actually closed our survey on Monday, and we had almost 200 staff respond to the survey. So now on Thursday, we will be, John McFarland is going to be doing Chat GPT training with all the managers. so then they can now take those survey results and then come up with the 2 to 3 items that pretty much stood out the most or kept being talked about the most. And thank you to Jess and Larry, because we had to figure out a way to get ChatGPT here at Metro. So yeah, no, Katie's like, surprise. So that is moving along, and our hope is that we will have those 2 to 3 areas identified. We're going to talk about it. We are doing a special meeting with the managers in October to talk about the 2 to 3 items, and then we hope to have the plan put together on how can we better serve our customers in 2025. So thank you. I mean, I can't even tell you the hours Nadine has given to helping us with this. And then briefly, really exciting, we were able to have Eleanor Roosevelt's great-granddaughter at the library, even though it's closed. She came with Jeannie and Margaret to do a tour, and so that was exciting. And the other thing I want to do is recognize Jenna is now our Assistant Director for Branch Services, so yay. And then I'm working on the job postings for both Maine and Collection and Technology. And those postings we'll be able to hopefully put out in the next couple months for sure. But we wanted to allow 4 to 6 months of savings in those positions because we have the $630,000 true up that we need to exactly. So, and then it was been nice because Will Ingram from Belmont, he is their technology guru. He's actually met with me to really look at the Collection and Technology posting in Tarvis. If you'd like to do that, I can send it to you as well, because that's an area where I feel like, we want to make sure we're getting the right person for that job. So, and then lastly, just wanted to say that it is National Library Card Sign-Off Month in September, and tonight Andrea Fant is not here today because we are doing a large event with council. They are going to be signing up for library cards and then posting on their socials about it. Andrea and I met 90 minutes with Vice Mayor Henderson. She is so about the library. We are so fortunate, I can't even tell you. So she's like, how can I help you promote the library with the council? And even the mayor's going to come tonight to, he has a card, but he's going to be there to help support that event. So I know we're short on time, so we can move on to the next thing, unless you have any questions for me.
That's a terrific advocacy piece.
Yes.
All down the line.
And tonight is, say that again.
So it's the regular council meeting tonight.
Oh, okay.
So before the council meeting, there's going to be a photo booth. And so the council can go and get their photo taken with their library card, and then they can post it to their socials. Yeah, and Council Member Gadd has also been very instrumental, and this is another advocacy thing. Sean and Paige and Carlos and I met with her right when she came to council last year, and she has been an incredible support and was one of the first to say, I have my card, and posted it all over her socials. So we have some great relationships with council.
And one more time, Terry, when are you going to post the position?
Probably not for another month or so. So we have time.
Taking her role down.
So right now what we're doing is Kyle Barber is agreed to oversee the collections staff and shared systems because we have managers in those positions that have been there 20 years and plus. So we felt like, they would need a person to contact and communicate with. So Kyle's really good at that. And so he's doing that. And Larry Jarek is helping me with NECAT. Okay. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing for them for right now.
Terry, I have one question. Richland Park, I remember meeting with Kent and neighborhood people at Richland Park because there was all this stuff about how we were going to do that. So where are we? I mean, once you start doing the plans, what are you doing plans of?
Sure.
Is it the same footprint or are we changing, what are we doing?
So that's a great question, Keith. So these will be GSA buildings. We have a new director, Gerald Smith, that's at GSA, and we invited him to speak at the ribbon cutting, and so now we have a really good relationship with him. So he actually, he agrees with us that we don't necessarily want to be in the school. So he is proposing the same thing that Susan proposed, which was that we have the property goes forward at Richland Park. And so what we want to do is use all of that and go up. It'll be a 2-story building right there in the park. So that's where we met with Gerald probably a couple weeks ago. And so that's what, and the parking is already there. So
You will extend into the parking lot or not?
We have in the front, the yard, that, there's that big long sidewalk that goes to all the way down. So we would just bring the building, we would have to level the current building and then build from.
Our property goes to the parking lot. From where we are to the parking lot.
In the parking lot. Okay. And how big is it going to be?
It would be 25,000 square feet.
Great.
Which is what Donaldson is.
Good.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
If I'm misremembering, was there a back and forth about a tree at one point? Are we taking down the tree, or what are we doing with the tree?
There's
I
lots
can
of
withdraw
trees.
my question if that's more appropriate next time.
There are lots of trees on that property. Some may have to be sacrificed.
But we'll do focus groups again with the community as part of design development because those were done 5 years ago. So we'll go back and do that again. And they said Richland Park, Maureen Arndt from Texas that has her own architectural firm but does the focus groups, she said that Richland Park had the most people attend a focus group in her entire time she's been doing this.
Yeah,
So.
Good luck with another focus group. I attended one of those, maybe a couple of them.
Well,
People
since it's
feel
been 5
strongly
years,
about
we
it.
wanted to make sure that we have
Yeah.
updated information.
So what would be the timeline if the city gave you the money?
Well, it depends on,
The focus group?
well, no, it depends on capacity for general services because it'll be a general services build. And it depends on when we get the money, how long development takes. I think they are anticipating doing design and development for both Hadley and Richland Park at the same time. So I don't know. It depends on funding capacity for Metro. I mean, there's a lot of factors.
Right.
And we have to be really careful about which one of the renovations we do, because what we don't want to do is create a scenario where Green Hills and Richland Park are both, closed at the same time, because they are some of our highest circulating facilities.
Yeah.
So.
You say it's going to be a general services building. What's the difference between that? So are everything going forward is going to be general services, but everything we have now is not general services? Clarify that a little bit, can you?
So any of the new builds after 2011, because of LEED certification and having to keep our buildings LEED certified, general services runs those buildings. So New Donaldson, New Bellevue, Southeast. If we get a new Hadley Park and we get a new Richland Park, they will become general services facilities.
Which
Means we will not be maintaining them, general services will.
As opposed to, for instance, Maine, that we do maintain.
Correct. And any of the other facilities that are not general services buildings. For example, Goodlettsville.
So on all the new buildings, maintenance and the maintenance, custodial services, and improvements all come under the general services budget and not the library budget.
Correct.
But I have sorry, Keith.
And general services, again, I'm such an oaf on this board. But, in times past, that was a big concern about because we didn't have control. And
Correct.
So it's worked okay?
It's working out.
Okay.
And just so y'all know, with the, a new director, that makes a difference as well. And so I have to just say that in the meetings that I've had with Gerald, and Susan's been included, is that he is very proactive and he has lots of good experience. So I think that we'll see things improve in the future.
But as far as, we've had a lot of deferred maintenance over the last few years. And, we've gone to bat for that. You all have. Is General Services going to go to bat in the same way? Because they're now managing buildings all over Metro, right? And
they have over 130 some odd buildings that they maintain. So it's incumbent upon them to do the same thing that we do, only obviously on a larger scale. So,
but the
Finger at them and blame them if they don't do the work.
But it also
No.
not
Well,
top of
no.
pecking order when.
yeah. Well, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but I'm just trying to understand it. But you've got to
if
bring
it were up to us, we would maintain our own facilities because
that's what I thought.
we care about those facilities. We know about
Right.
those facilities. We just don't necessarily always have a say in it.
And Sean, does that create a problem if you're not raising money, capital funds now anyway, right?
Not for the facilities.
Not for facilities. So,
So it should be okay. It's just if there's enhancements within, but that's the library's responsibility as well. So that won't affect the foundation.
what do you mean, enhancements in?
With
That's-
enhancements as a part of, like if they want to purchase.
Like, say, for instance, that special unit that the parent-child thing that
Yeah.
Ryan did.
Yeah, which is not a part of the building. It's just,
Right.
it's
So
like
that's
books.
where
Yeah.
we then work with the library.
Yeah. But
So-
any sort of enhancements to the building that become part of the building, we're not doing that.
And
Well,
it
that goes back to naming rights then, because if you're not doing that, it's going to be unlikely that we're going to have any big naming right issues for those properties that are not ours.
Without going down to, there could be naming rights in a space that are not, it's a recognition of someone's contribution to, for example, someone contributed generously to the early literacy initiative. We could recognize them, even though they're not contributing to
With the building.
the building per se.
Do we have you're really making me think about things I hadn't thought about before.
Sorry, don't think about it.
Well, but like if we wanted to have a studio at NPL in a new branch that's now owned by that's overseen by GSA, can we do that?
Donaldson has that.
Yeah, they do. But if it came
After.
later,
Well, hopefully going forward, we would put them in at the beginning.
well, I'm just using that as an example.
If there was something else, we would have to work closely with General Services.
Right.
And if we were to come up with the funding, they would probably go for it. I'm not going to speak for General Services, but I would think that they would probably go for it. I don't know as they would pay for it. As long as if we had the funding for it, more than likely we would work with them and it would be okay.
You don't think that would be out of question?
And Keith, to go back to your point too, it really is also our responsibility to be in communication with Gerald at General Services to say, hey, look, this really needs done in terms of maintenance. And then we also get maintenance both in the 4% and in capital spending. But I do believe that we just need to, we have a good relationship with him and just to continue that communication. So then he can hopefully, when he prioritizes.
Well, and for example, when we had the flood at Bellevue back at the beginning of the year, they were very responsive. They did a great job cleaning it up, taking it apart and putting it back together. So, we work closely with them with the buildings that we have.
But that all was paid for out of their budget.
Yes. Well, that was
What-
insurance money, but yeah.
What about the garden at Maine, the courtyard?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What about the courtyard at Maine?
We're working on it.
Is that General Services?
No, that's us. Main library is us.
Okay,
Courtyard is us.
okay.
So, and we are working on it.
Any other, because I'm concerned about time, any other questions of Terry? Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
And you're up, Sean.
I'll be quick. Next week, September 25th, is the Library Foundation's annual board meeting. And traditionally, we invite the library board to attend that meeting. So you all should have received an invite. We will be at Donaldson. If you have not had a tour of Donaldson yet, we're inviting people to come at 11:30. The meeting doesn't start till noon. If you need more information and did not get the invite, please let me know, but we look forward to seeing you there. A couple other things. We are in the midst of a T-shirt campaign. It's My Weekends Are Booked. Some of you have seen this. There's T-shirts and book bags. This is our Next Chapter Society, so our emerging leaders are leading this effort through the month of September. So would love for you to participate if you're interested. Gala prep is in full swing, November 9th. Public lecture will be in the morning at MLK. The gala will be in the evening at the main library. So we are counting on all the repairs being done, and we're grateful that the library really considered that as they were putting this whole timeline together for repairs. James McBride is our honoree, and it will be, if you've attended past galas or even public lectures, it's going to be different than what we have had in the past. He is incorporating music. He sees himself as a musician even before an author. So that will be very, very exciting. It will be different. Music will be both at public lecture and at the evening as well. It is also our 20th Literary Award honoree and weekend, and so we will be doing a VIP reception, and Michael Shane Neal will be in the hallway that features all of the past portraits, and he'll be there to kind of talk about our past honorees because he's had a chance to meet most of them. And then we also are producing a book that talks about the 20 galas on one side, and then it will be a flip of 20 impacts that the foundation has been able to support of the library as a result of the past galas.
Where are those going to be distributed? What's the?
For all gala attendees.
Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting.
I have do board members need to, I know it's free and open, but do we need to make a reservation for a seat at the public lecture?
Please do, yes. So in the minutes, I can send out the URL where to sign up for public lecture. It is free, but it allows us to just track how many people we have. We are also really focusing on young people. So high school students, college students, that is what excites Mr. McBride the most. He feels like he can have the most impact in that area. And so really working hard to promote the public lecture to our high schools, colleges. But that does not mean they are our only audience. It will be enjoyable for all ages.
And so how do we get, with what you're going to send the URL?
I'll send with the minutes of this meeting, I'll send the URL just so you can sign up for the public lecture. Again, it's free, but we just like to track how many people have signed up.
But we don't get the minutes immediately after.
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, I think you need to
Why don't you
email.
send it to
I'll send
everybody?
it out.
And
Yep.
the link to the T-shirts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll do that as well. Good point. Thank you. The last thing, if you come to the meeting next week, you will hear more about Begin Bright and our fundraising efforts for Begin Bright. That's at the Foundation's annual board meeting. So things are going very well is all I'll say, but we'll give you more details next week. And there is a web presence for the Begin Bright fundraising campaign. I can also include that with just a follow-up to this meeting. Once Maine opens back up, we are starting our Library 101 tours again, so we had to have a little pause in those. But please be thinking of who you know that you would like to learn more about the library and the foundation to join us for a library tour. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions of Sean? All right, let's move on to staff reports. Corey? Come on up. Come on down.
My turn on the hot seat, huh?
That's right.
Welcome to Goodlettsville. Thank you all so much for making the trek up here today. I hope you had a safe journey and good to see everybody here. We'd love to have you back whenever you get a little bit more time on your hands. So I'm the manager. I'm Corey Frederick. I've been the manager of the Goodlettsville Library since July of last year. The majority, how much time do I have? About 10 minutes? Okay, I'll go quick. The majority of the things that I'll show you today have taken place since I've been here. I am not taking credit for this. I have a wonderful staff. I'm just over the moon how great my staff is. They do wonderful work, and you'll get to see that here in these slides. What I want to show you, like I said, things that we've done over the past year, and then also some projects we have, some goals we have going on. So jumping forward, everything will work. Maybe. You might have to advance it for me. No? There we go. Okay. So since we've been here, we've had on an average of about 40 to 50 programs a month. Take into account we have 5 programmers, 6 if you count me. So you're looking at, 8 to 10 programs per staff member each single month. And they're overachieving. They're doing a great job with all that stuff. With those programs, we have really good attendance with all of those, long-standing programs, our teen programs especially. We have a teen program on Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. Teens come from high and low to attend those programs. And Chris, who is a former Studio NPL employee, has featured 3D printing and button making and all kinds of stuff that he brought over from Studio to, help drum up business for his programs. And it's worked to a great degree.
Is he a full-time person?
He is a full-time person. So whenever we stole him from Studio NPL, he became a full-time employee. Yes, sir. We are working to expand programming even more. We're going to add a Lego club soon, and a homeschool play date is something that we have on the agenda to add to. We have a lot of homeschool families that use this library, and they come in from, I don't know if you know about Goodlettsville, where it situates itself. It's on the corner of essentially 3 counties, and so we have people from Robertson, Sumner, and Davidson County coming here for items. So we're trying to capture a lot of folks, trying to do these programs and stuff. And so the homeschool play date was a result of a survey that we put out and had a lot of actually people take the survey, which was fantastic. And that's what we heard the most. And so we're going to try to incorporate that soon. So, Hannah. All right, a couple of really big programs that we had go on. I want to draw out our murder mystery, which was a fantastic time. Adult programming, it is hard to get people for adult programming, but we had 31 people dressed in 1920s attire here, and that was on a night. It was a Thursday night, I want to say at about 6 o'clock. There's a picture there in that top right. So all the flapper dresses and all that good stuff, and they had a great time doing it. And we're actually going to have another murder mystery in 1910s attire. It's set on a cruise ship, and it's next Thursday. So if you get a chance, come out. It may be a little too late to buy an outfit, but you can definitely come and enjoy. The other thing I want to draw out here on the slide is the Dino Dig Party. Ever since our children's librarian, Miriam Wolfenson, came onto the staff here, she's done a fantastic job, and this was one of the first big programs that she planned on July 5th and 6th, which you would imagine would be a tough time to bring people into a program. It's right after the 4th. People were traveling. But we did a Dino Dig Party that had 176 people attend across 2 days. And it wasn't all day, both days. It was about 2 hours each day, 2 to 3 hours. The Dino Dig Party itself, there was a photo moment. that was set up here. It looked like you were in the jungle. We had some dinosaurs up here. There were an excavation station. We had some play sand that was donated by the Ace Hardware across the street, and Miriam made actually little fossils and stuff out of plaster of Paris, which was cool. Had dinosaur checkers, and that's what you see right there. Those dinosaurs were 3D printed on our machines by that studio NPL, Chris Layton, that I mentioned earlier. And so kids actually played dress up with those dinosaurs more than they did. We had little party hats to put on them, so they had a good time. So all kinds of cool stuff on those days. If you will hit the next one there. Okay. More 3D printing. So in the Summer Challenge, we had our own little personal giveaway. So that's one thing since we've gotten here that we do our own thing to add to what MPL's got going on. So for Summer Challenge, we had all the Summer Challenge things that everybody else does. We had the coupons, all that good stuff. We wanted to enhance it a little bit and try to boost our numbers a little bit. And so we had a 3D printed man, as you can see here, who is promoting Summer Challenge. And that guy is probably about that tall. And we had a giveaway of a 3D printed paper bag filled with 3D printed trinkets. So all kinds of stuff there. And as you can see, with our goal, we had a goal of 9,500 days read, and we made 19,671. So, yeah, we eclipsed that number times 2, which was fantastic. And then another thing that we've noticed, a trend, we have a puzzle table like many branches do. We have a lot of people who use that puzzle table, and so we tried to incorporate that into a program. So every other month we have a puzzle contest with families, and they get to, do puzzles in here on different tables. If you've ever heard smack talking from puzzlers, that's a great time. So you can hear some competition coming from this room, like I said, every other month. And we also have a puzzle swap that is simply just run on donations, and people bring in puzzles, they take a puzzle sort of thing. We've even gotten some donations from some foundation, some donors to the foundation as well. So it's been really cool to see that interest. Jump on. All right. Back in July, we had our 13th birthday. We turned teenager. Woo! That was on July 8th, and we had a birthday celebration here. We did all kinds of things. There were passive sort of programs. There's pin the bookmark in the book. There were no pins. It was just a little sticky tack. So everybody was safe there. We did a guess how much candy's in a jar sort of thing. There were several things, and then there were displays. So books that had 13 in the title, books that had birthday in the title, cookbooks that talked about cooking cakes and birthday cakes and all that other stuff. All that was around. We also tapped into the archives to see what kind of materials they had about the Goodlettsville Library. And so we were able to feature a table that had materials about the old library and then about the construction of this branch as well. One thing that we asked everybody to do a little bit more active was we had a birthday card that everybody could sign for the branch, and then we were able to give that birthday card to our council person, Ms. Jennifer Frensley Webb, there at the end of the day. And that's the picture there. One cool thing that's sort of tied the day up at the end, we had a birthday cake kit assembly program. It was part of the Summer Challenge, and we scheduled it on that day intentionally so it would be on our birthday, which was pretty awesome. And then once those kits, and that's what that one picture top left is, once those kits were assembled, we were able to give them to the Goodlettsville Help Center, which is just right down the street here. So, yeah. That's
is that like 3 eggs, 1 stick of butter? What goes in a birthday cake kit? So,
and I had that thought in my head too. I was like, how are you, keeping the eggs and milk and butter and all that other? It is actually a cake mix, the box cake mix, Duncan Hines, Betty Crocker, and then Sprite, or 7-Up, and that's the leavening agent. And like, I don't understand it, but that's what works.
It's chemistry.
Yeah. There were even little candles that we put in there that people had and all that stuff. So, but it's pretty simple kit with not really anything that's going to, expire on us or we have to keep cold. So, all right, Hannah. Just transitioning just a little bit, exceptional services. I want to draw out attention. We do some of the most, if not the most, one-on-one help sessions of any library in the system. We have book librarian Vicki Kirby, Amy Jo Bradford. They are adult associates. They do tons of those one-on-one tech help sessions. Chris Layton also does some. I do a handful if they get stuck with me. So, but we have a ton of people who register for those, and we sit down with them every single week to help them one-on-one. And I had to brag a little bit that we are the first non-regional and non-main library to host early voting. And that started back in February. So we've hit February and July, and now we'll be for the presidential coming up. And then notary services, we were able to add that last month, and that's been going pretty well too. That's definitely a service that the community needed. All right, so outreach and partnerships. This is a chunk of the presentation here, and I'll try to go fast. With the Goodlettsville, the branch library, whenever it was built, the Garrett Gardens behind the building were also built. The Garrett family funded the gardens, and they were able to create the space. It's a green space. It's really nice. I can give you a lot more details later. A couple things. This year, this summer, we actually took tried to invest more time into those gardens. For different reasons. I can talk about those later. And back in April, we actually partnered with the school that's right behind us, which is Goodlettsville Elementary. We have a lot of parents who park in this parking lot and walk their children over every single day. And so they were walking through that garden space all the time. And so partnering with that school, they had a community service day. They came over and planted 3, they're canoe-shaped beds. You can see part of one there. 3 of those beds, one for vegetables, one for plants, one for herbs, and then pollinators, sort of flower sort of things. And we had a good turnout for that. There are 4 of those beds. The 4th bed, staff here are actually maintaining that, and wanted to have some involvement there, and then we can use it for programming and things like that. They were talking about planting pumpkins, and pumpkins run all over the place, but carving pumpkins would be a great program, right? All right, so, but that was in April. In May, we had our very first Goodlettsville Garden Ganza, Triple G, there you go. And we had a specially designed button that we made, and you can see the logo here. And we handed those out to everybody who participated, who attended it. We had yard games, croquet, all the things from Library of Things, actually. Just brought out, we checked them out here, put them out there. We had music, production services came out and set up music for us, and I think we heard every Disney song we could possibly find on Spotify that day, but it was wonderful. We had a bubble machine, popsicles. It was a great time. We had 72 people come to that program that day, and it lasted a couple hours. So, but like I said, that is the first. We're hoping that the Garden Ganza will be great again next year. So you'll jump forward. So the Goodlettsville Help Center. Goodlettsville operates, it's a city sort of on its own. There's a city hall. They have their own help center that helps people who come in who have, need help paying bills, need help finding clothes and food and all kinds of different things. And so they were a logical partner for us. Starting at the end of last year and beginning of this year, we did a food drive, and we thought it was going to be a one-off for the holidays to help people find, get food for their holiday meals and things like that. It's turned into an ongoing food drive. We constantly keep that thing going. People know that if they bring in food, we can put it here. We call Goodlettsville Help Center. They come out and get it. It's as easy as that. Back in the summer, during Summer Challenge, we did a toy drive, so we changed it up a little bit, and that's to help out, to give kids, toys in the holidays too. So they just wanted to do that a little bit early, and that's what we changed it to. But now we've swapped back over to the food drive. The signs out there, whenever you leave the room here, you can see it. Another partnership, the farmers market. We've been doing monthly story times there. Miriam, the children's librarian, she goes out there every single month to do a story time. It not only takes our programs on the road, but it also gets people more interested about coming to the building. Forrest, we'll jump forward. I'm almost done, guys. So, like I said, Goodlettsville is separate and apart. They have their own Parks and Recreation department, and they have tons of events that go on all the time. And so here's a list of some of the things that we've participated in. We do monthly lunch and learns at Delmas Lawn Community Center. It's down the street on the left. The Halloween in the Park, that is a one-time event. Last year, I think our staff interacted with something like 1,500 people at this one event. And that's like handing out stickers and actually talking to people every single, count. So it's wild at the amount of people that we can get into contact with at these events. And then we were also recognized in February as the Volunteer Organization of the Year for the Goodlettsville Community Center, the Parks and Recreation Department.
Wow.
So we'll jump forward. Okay. And that is a suite. Candy Cane Village House that you see there, that staff here decorated, and we were part of the Candy Cane Village that takes place over in front of the City Hall, right down the street. That was back in December, is when we took that picture. Me and another staff member and Mark Crowder put that thing up when it was blowing cold and sort of drizzly rain, and it was tough, but we got it. So, but that took, that stayed up throughout the holidays. And then we were also part of the Christmas parade. I served on the Christmas parade committee for the city, and we're going to do that again this year. We do a monthly visit to Brookdale Senior Living. We take books and check books out to the people there specifically. They tell us sort of what they like, what genres and things, and then we just sort of pull books and take them over and check them out. The Goodlettsville Arts, Antiques, and Music Festival was this past weekend. That was a good time. We had a lot of interaction, lots of button making, lots of things going on there. And then we also have outreach with Goodlettsville Middle School. They've even walked down the street over here before to do a quick tour of the library. So lots of cool stuff there. All right, one more. Okay, so projects. So we were one of the lucky recipients to earn or to be rewarded the participatory budget request. And so Pollinator Gardens is one of those things that we're planning on right now. We're considering, got lots of things in the works, adding some new trees and some fixing some sidewalks, and then or replacing some sidewalks in the back, and then also possibly adding a story walk to our community, the garden in the back. And then collections, they were part of the Central Asia collection, and then there's also music instrument collections and stuff that'll be circulated around. So there are some building repairs going on right now. If you look real close, you'll see some leaks here and there, and those things are being addressed currently, and those are sort of long-term sort of plans. And then another plan that we do have is continue to do outreach and partnerships, build those relationships through this community as much as we can. So that's all I've got.
Thank you so much.
Any questions about anything? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Corey. Sweetie, you have been so patient.
I know.
Come on up. I don't know whether this is the good news or the bad news for you, but we really do have to be out of here at a certain point. So it might make it easy.
Because I can talk fast and get it out the way. Good afternoon.
Hey, Sarita.
I send my regards or share Linda's regards for not being here. She had another meeting, and so y'all are stuck with me today.
You're
to
lucky.
talk about the bookmobile. It has been a long time coming, but it is actually happening. It is a real thing that is being built. We will have it in our possession sometime in the late fall. We are unsure of the date, but we will at least see it. It will be the premiered vehicle at the Association of the Bookmobile and Outreach Services Conference, and Linda and I will be attending. It is an opportunity for us to be with Matthew Specialty Vehicles, who are building our bookmobile. They'll be there to share about the design process, but we'll be there to talk about how we will use our bookmobile. And speaking of that, our first year, we are focusing on charter schools. What most people are not aware of is that charter schools do not receive Limitless Libraries deliveries. And so this is an opportunity to add that resource as an extension of Limitless Library Services. So we'll focus on visiting schools for that first year. And I found some disturbing statistics, or some statistics that were kind of concern for me, is that 85% of the students that are at charter schools are considered minority. And it is 90% across the state of Tennessee. And so they are in economically disadvantaged areas for the most part, all of the schools. And this is our opportunity to really enhance their educational environment and all of the things that, they're learning in school. Literacy is a part of that. So we want to make sure that they have quality content, engaging things that are of interest to them. So that is one of the benefits of building the bookmobile and having it and taking it to charter schools, which is why we're focusing on that first. So we are in the process of selecting materials. Like, we are already spending money for that. Compliments of Dollar General Literacy Foundation. We're able to build collections that reflect those different communities, the backgrounds of the students in those schools, because we want to make sure they can see themselves in the stories, and it is something that enhances or helps them to appreciate and love reading in the way that we really want them to. So the bookmobile will start off, like I said, just visiting charter schools. The idea is to have them visit each school, stay for an extended period of time, somewhere between 4 and 6 hours. That way the school can get acclimated to the bookmobile being there, and the schools do not have to pivot as much to try to incorporate a visit into their day. And so if they're there for a longer period of time, it's an opportunity for each class, one by one, to visit. It's not overcrowding, because it will only be 2 people operating this vehicle when it comes. And so that is the other part of what I'm doing. Literally this past week, we've closed out bookmobile outreach coordinator position interviews, and I am in the process of working up second interviews for the top 2 candidates, just to make sure we're selecting the right person and we're not in a position to be hiring once again. And then after we have that finalized, we will move forward with ordering. I must be hungry. We will move forward with hiring the bookmobile outreach specialist, who is the second person that will assist with making sure that vehicle is operating optimally. So, yeah, in the long run, we just want to make sure that, the bookmobile is serving who it's supposed to serve. And the pictures that you guys are seeing on the screen, that is a mock-up. Because I was like, I don't want to stand here and y'all not think that it's really happening. It's really happening. It is a physical thing. But we want to make sure that we're, serving the students. They're getting the same resources that, the traditional schools are getting, if not better, because we're selecting some of the best materials. I've gotten a lot of compliments from the materials that are being ordered for the bookmobile. But we want to make sure that, it's sustainable, that it is really like helping to foster that love, because when you see the bookmobile coming, you want it to be excitement. You want it to be, oh, we get to see, the bookmobile. And what y'all are not aware of is that thing will have 2 TVs on it, one on the outside, one on the inside, PA system. So it's going to be a whole party with the bookmobile. And just know that once we get it, it's already been asked for me to bring it to the board meeting in November. So you guys will get to see it as well. But we are also in the process of planning a big reveal day as well. We are hoping that we know the date of the arrival, and we can kind of work it into gala weekend a little bit, and do a big reveal at a charter school. So, well, I can't remember the school right now. I went blank.
KIP?
There is one school that has agreed to be, KIP, thank you. KIP has agreed to host our reveal party, and we want it to be a big celebration, that just kind of highlights and shows the joy of reading on the bookmobile on the go. And I just submitted, finally, all of the design plans. So design for the rep is in the process. So things are happening, and it's all good. So our patience, our trust, our frustration is now coming to fruition. So that is where we are with the bookmobiles. Now, do you guys have any questions?
So the kids can check out books from the bookmobile just like if they were main library or somewhere?
Yes, so all the MNPS students have their ID numbers, and as long as they have their ID numbers, they can check out books. But what we'll do when we visit schools, we'll print out a list of the numbers. So even when they're coming on, we can just find a child's name, scan a barcode, and then go on.
And will all the charter school students have, that's an opportunity for them to have a library card as well?
They already have.
They do, okay.
All MNPS students and employees, actually, not just teachers, all employees of MNPS and students have ID numbers that are library card numbers.
Schools don't have libraries.
I know the schools don't, but they
so
are, I got it.
Where do the charter school, where do they return the books?
So that is why we will make sure that we have our schedule that is a rotation.
Okay.
And we've already set up, thankfully, Jenny has been so gracious with having that conversation. We've already set it up to where their rotation should be within 6 weeks. And so their books will automatically check out for that 6 weeks, and then they will gain another 6 weeks. But we'll probably be back in enough time before that even happens. But some of them have asked for many return boxes, and I was like, that would be a cute idea to have something that is library related, that they can return a book. So that is also one of the thought processes that I will now have to sit and talk to Linda, who will watch this and be like, let's talk about it. So we'll have to ask about that one.
All right, that's great.
Yeah. Any other
questions, Sharita? You did a great job.
Thank you.
So much.
I just want to say thanks to Sarita because, when she was promoted to Limitless Libraries, this was something that was already predetermined, yet not a lot of specifics that were part of the planning. And so I just want to give her a big shout out because she's really led this in an amazing way. So thank you, Sarita.
I don't think adjournment needs a motion, but if anybody doesn't want to adjourn, say so. I think we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.